Welcome back to the Heft Training app. Today we have Monster Monday, one of my favorite days of the week, so here's the deal. We've got 30, 60, 90. It's a 3-to-1 work to rest ratio. For every 3 seconds of work, you get 1 second of rest. So with that being said, you go 30 seconds on, 10 seconds off, 60 seconds on, 20 seconds off, 90 seconds on, 30 seconds off. That would be one round. Now we have 3 sections, A, B, and C. So we'll do 3 rounds of A, followed by 3 rounds of B, and then 3 rounds of C. So that's what we've got for today's workout. Now let's talk about what goes into those intervals. So for section A, for 30 seconds, we're going to spend it on the rower, a bike, or a treadmill. Totally up to you. If you're using a rower, we're going to go ahead and sit down onto the seats. We're going to strap in our feet, and we want that strap to come right over where our big toe knuckle is. Make sure you have yourself strapped in, otherwise it becomes a very different exercise. Now from here, we've got our screen turned on. I want you to see the little gap here where the chain comes through. We want to make sure that that stays right in the middle. We're going to sit up nice and straight, push off the legs, engage the core, and then finish with a pull of the arms. So it goes legs, arms, arms, legs. Legs, arms, arms, legs. Engage in the core, and remember it is a push and a powerful drive with the legs, and finish off with the arms. So that's what we have for our rower. If you're going to run, do your thing, nice steady state. We want to get our heart rate increased for the 30 seconds. Now, when you're done with 30 seconds, you'll rest for 10. Then we'll transition over. And in this case, we're going to need 2 kettlebells. So I'm going to have 2 kettlebells ready right by the side of my rower, so I don't have to do what I just did and waste time. So we have 6 plus 6 for all of our 60-second intervals. We're going to go for 6 push-ups followed by 6 double kettlebell rows. And you can decide if you would like to put your hands on top of the kettlebells, feet are back and together, squeeze the glutes, and we're going to come down and up for our push-ups. Whether you go from your feet or from your knees, or if you do them on or off your kettlebells is totally up to you. If you're doing it from your knees, suck your hips in nice and tight, external rotation in the shoulders, and then bringing your chest down to touch the ground. That's what we have for that. 6 push-ups into 6 double kettlebell rows. So when we go for our rows, we're going to stand over the top of the bells. We're going to soften the knees. We're going to karate chop and hinge our hips backwards. Now these bells should be directly underneath me, shoulder, elbow, wrist in a nice straight line. Notice how flat my back is. My spine is nice and neutral. Both of my kettlebells, I'm going to row them and pull them towards my hips on the insides of my legs, if you're wondering. Big difference between kettlebells and dumbbells there. Whenever you're done with your 6 plus 6, which you're going to do as many rounds as you can over that 60-second interval, you'll rest for 20 before you move on to the next, which is 90 seconds. Now, for all of your 90 seconds, I've given you 3 exercises, and here's the good and easy thing. Your rep count throughout the whole workout today will be 6 plus 6 or 6 plus 6 plus 6, okay? So 2 exercises for the 60 seconds, 3 exercises for the 90. Here we have 6 sprawls. So a sprawl is like a kind burpee. We're going to put our hands on the floor. We're going to jump our feet back into our push-up plank position. Do not let your hips sink down too low. Then we're going to land on flat feet and stand up at the top. Once you're done with 6 of those, you'll move on to 6 double kettlebell floor presses. So I'm going to lay on the floor. Make sure the bells are outside of my hips. And from here, I'm going to keep my elbows about 45 degrees away from my ribs, I'm going to press up and pull down. The floor is there, so you're not going to be able to get as deep as you would be if you were on a bench, but right here from above, if you were looking at me from a bird's eye view, this is what we want to see. So when you're done with those 6, you're going to move on to 6 double kettlebell swings. So when you're done with your floor presses, kettlebells come together, we're set up so our feet are nice and wide, and the triangle is a tip, right? So our feet are the base, the kettlebells are the tip. From here, we soften and hinge the hips back like we did for the bent over rows. But rather than having the bells underneath us, they're going to be in front of us. From here, we can tilt the bells towards us, lock in our lats. We're going to hike them between our legs and then thrust and drive. Using that power from our posterior chain, traveling through our body to the bells, sending them up to eye level. Once they come up to eye level, they'll come back down. That's our cue for our hips to go back, receive them, and drive again. So 6 plus 6 plus 6, and don't forget you can always press the arrow. This is just for me to help you look at that programming and put a movement to the name that you see on paper. So that's what we have for section A. Whenever we're done with that, we're going to move on to section B. Every 30 seconds on this workout will be on a row, a bike, or a treadmill. Totally up to you. So row, bike, or run for those 30 seconds like I showed you for A. Then for B, for the 60 seconds, we've got 2 new movements. We have 6 double kettlebell deadlifts into 6 double kettlebell walking lunges. So for our deadlifts, kettlebells are going to be outside of our feet. And I'll show you this actually from this angle. Feet underneath my hips if I had a straight line, drawing them straight down. Toes are pointing forward. I'm gonna come down, pick up the kettlebells and stand up all the way at the top, pulling my shoulder blades back in together, keeping my core nice and tight. I'm gonna soften my knees. Boom. I'm gonna hinge my hips behind me, sending my butt to the back of the room. Now I'm gonna drive through my heels and squeeze my hips forward, feeling that in my hamstrings and in my glutes. Once I'm done with 6 deadlifts, I'm simply gonna hold on to my weights, and I'm gonna step forward, kiss my knee on the floor, step forward again, kiss my knee on the floor, and I'm gonna keep moving forward for 6 repetitions. Now in the base of that lunge, hands above the side of your hips. If you were to see me from the side, approximately we want our shoulder, hip, and knee to be stacked on top of each other. What we don't want to see any bends that are really weird. So keep big, proud chest, tall spine, and drive up through that heel, moving forward or back. But if I was you, and if I was doing this alone and not in this tiny little space, I would go for my 6 deadlifts and then 6 lunges. Turn around, 6 deadlifts, and walk back with my 6 lunges. But that's just my preference. You can decide how you would like to do it. Whenever you're done with that, you're gonna rest for 20 and then move on to section where there's 90 seconds. And again, 3 exercises, 6 reps of each. Here's what we've got. 6 box jumps. I'm gonna stand behind my box. Feet are about hip width apart. I'm gonna drop into a quarter of a squat, scoop myself up, land on the box, stand up entirely at the top. Shoulders, hips, and ankles are in a straight line. You can step down or you can jump down. The choice is yours. If jumping is too much, you can always step. That's always an option too. Whenever you're done here, we're gonna go over and pick up a kettlebell because you have 6 kettlebell goblet squats. Keeping the kettlebell nice and close to the chest. Hips go back and down like there's an imaginary seat behind you. Drive back up, keeping the core nice and tight. Whatever you do, don't lean on the bell. It is there in the front of our body, so we've got to keep our back nice and strong. So pull the shoulder blades back and together and open up the chest for those squats. Whenever you're done with your 6 box jumps, 6 goblet squats, you're going to move on to 6 double kettlebell power cleans. So now you're going to go from using 1 bell to 2. Power clean. We're going to stand over the top of our bells. Feet are in the base of a squat position. We're going to come down into the base of our squat, internally rotate our thumbs, so my thumbs are pointing to opposite heels. Right thumb is pointing to my left heel. Left thumb is pointing to my right. Here, butt down, chest up. I want to see the logo on your shirt. You're going to power through, creating as much speed and momentum as possible into your front rack position. Come back down, start again. Drive through the heels, and go ahead. If you would like your heels to come off the floor, that's okay, but try and keep your toes connected to the ground. That's what we have for our power cleans, and that's what we have for section B. Now let's talk about section C, and this is where all the words come together. 30 seconds, you got it by now. Row, bike, or run. Max effort, you're trying to spike that heart rate up. Rest for 10 seconds, move on to your 60-second interval. Now we've got 2 exercises, 6 reps of each. First one is 6 V-ups. So we're gonna be on the floor, hollow body position, touch the floor behind you, come up so that your feet and hands meet at the top. If you want to go single, that's always an option as well. When you're done with your 6 V-ups, you're going to move on to 6 kettlebell halo twists. So bottoms up for the bell, boom. Feet are underneath the hips. If I go over my left shoulder, creating a circle around my head, I'm going to twist towards my left hip. If I go over my right shoulder, I'm going to twist, crunch the obliques, and twist it to my right hip. Now, my knees are facing forward, as you see, and there is rotation in the spine. So, boom, hips aren't moving, just my torso is. Cool? So once you're done 6, which you'll alternate directions every time, you'll go as many rounds as that as possible. 6 V-ups, 6 halo twists. Then we're going to move on to then you have 20 seconds of rest before you move on to the 90-second interval. In this part, we're going to go for 6 front steps, followed by 6 alternating kettlebell snatches, followed by 6 renegade rows. So here's what that looks like. Front steps. We're going to be on the floor real quick, and then we'll come up to our bells. So from the floor, we're in our loaded beast position. So hands are on the floor, dropping our chin to our chest, knees are hovering, heels are up to the sky. Tucking my chin to my chest, biceps are right by the side of my ears. I'm going to shift my weight forward. I'm going to remove my left hand and replace it with my left foot. Chest is down, up high, hips are down low, pulling the shoulder blades back and together, eyes are gazing forward. Hand goes back down, feet go back down, hips to the heels, and we replace and go to the other side. Ideally, we want that back leg as straight as possible. And again, hips down low, chest up high at the top. Whenever you are done with your 6 reps, you're gonna come up, you have 6 alternating kettlebell snatches. So if I have 1 kettlebell here, I'm gonna go for swing snatches. So the kettlebell's in front of me, I'm gonna hike it between my legs, I'm going to retract that shoulder, pull and press at the top. I'm going to let it drop, switch arms, and do the same thing on the other side. Now, if you were to go slow motion, my arm is not straight. There is a scap retraction and then a punch, like so. Cool? And at the top of the rep, wrist, elbow, shoulder stacked, right on top of my hip, my knee, and my ankle by straight line. And then finally, after our 6 alternating kettlebell snatches, we have 6 renegade rows. So here's the dealio. We're going to grab 2 kettlebells that weigh the same. I'm going to put my hand onto the inside of one, or you can stabilize and put it on the handle. The choice is yours. Feet are nice and staggered in the back for balance, and we're going to pull one of our kettlebells towards our hips, and the other is going to be stabilizing on the floor. When we're here, though, we're trying not to turn our hips as much as we possibly can. Staggering the feet in the back is going to help for balance. Squeezing and sucking your ass and your hips forward is also going to help. If you need to go from your knees, you can absolutely do that if you need to. And if you want to drop down, remember another alternative is to have your hand on the bell. You're just not going to get quite as much range of motion, if you see on this side, that you would because you're starting with a bent arm, because you don't have that full extension of the space right there. The choice is yours. Have fun. You can always use dumbbells if you don't have kettlebells. I want you to enjoy this workout. Don't forget, between section A, B, and C, after you've done 3 rounds of each, you'll rest for 90 seconds in between each section. And don't forget, get on that HEF Tribe group and ask for some screenshots of the interval timer that's set up. I'm also going to put them in the highlights on the HEF Tribe Instagram page. Check it out and enjoy.